Hello folks, this is Steve AB4L. No, we're not going to do anything with Slashdot. But, I used to live in Philadelphia. Now there's been 2 major airplane crashes in the last 24 hours. It's terrible. And one of them is in Philadelphia. So I'm going to pick out a couple of news sites. I'm curious as to where the plane went down, because it went down in the city. And generally speaking, Philadelphia is a densely populated city. 7 dead, including child, in medical jet crash near Philadelphia Mall. So as I'm scrolling down, this is obviously the day after. In today's world, there's video cameras everywhere, right? This is another view caught by somebody's, presumably, dash cam. Now this caught my eye. First responder worked the scene after a small plane crashed in Philadelphia on the 31st. I can see a building over here that might be a mall building, but I'm seeing fire here that might be from the jet itself. But I can see a fireman on a ladder, so this is after the first responders have got there, and we're seeing row homes. Are the row homes on fire? Now, this is where I got the particular crash site address. ABC 6 Action News. That's actually a station I go to often when I want to see what's happening in Philadelphia, because their online stuff's pretty good. I can see the fire hoses. There's debris, but clearly there isn't traffic. That's where the plane hit. And we see here Roosevelt Mall, Macy's, Ross, we got a Ross here, Bixmore. So clearly it was right at or in the mall. That's a Chopper 6 overhead. And nearby things were consumed. I don't know if those were parked cars or people who were in them. But the clue was, so this is the Philadelphia Inquirer, which was a major newspaper. As a matter of fact, I had a neighbor upstairs that was a reporter, and one of the places he ended up working was the Philadelphia Inquirer. So it crashed near Roosevelt Mall. Now this picture is interesting. Remember, I'm going to be using Street View. Here's the sign again. Now, this is taken from a back with a telephoto lens. So there's quite a distance involved, potentially, but the lens compresses the distance, but they're all in focus. So there's this Macy's, Ross, Bixmore, whatever it is. But we're seeing something else in here. We're seeing across the street, and we're seeing those brick high-rise residential buildings. By high-rise, see the row homes in North Philadelphia as an example, or in Germantown where I live, might be 2 stories. They're usually 2 stories. These are higher than that. But they're still row home style. They're one squashed against another. And they're right on, I'm assuming this is Cotman Avenue. I've been up there a long time ago. Didn't look like this. So I'm looking for a landmark. I'm seeing this, we already have it. And I'm seeing something here called Affordable Legal Center. I can read it. I can see a one-way sign. Now that would be typical of streets where the rows of homes are squished together. Because when they were built on a landscape where it's horse and buggy layout of Philadelphia. You got that? Cotman Avenue and Roosevelt Boulevard. Roosevelt Boulevard would be this one here. That's the main route coming from the northeast outside of Philadelphia down into the city. I've been on Cotman Avenue. And what we can see here, Macy's. Well, we can see Macy's in here, right there. So we know it's in this vicinity. And when I clicked on the invitational street view, here it is. This view is October 2022. This is Cotman, there's Cotman, so this is Roosevelt. We can see a McDonald's down there. The mall is unlikely to be directly on Roosevelt, so it's probably on Cotman. There's the sign Roosevelt, so this is Cotman. My guess over here is this is Macy's. I can see the sign now. There it is. There's Macy's. We know we're in the right vicinity. And we can also see there's a huge parking lot. What do we see here? What do we see here? The modern version of the row homes. Look how extensive that building is. The modern version of the row homes. So the plane crashed somewhere near or in the mall, adjacent to a heavily populated neighborhood. These are right across from Macy's. There's the Macy's sign, the top one right there. Let's keep looking. There's more row homes, more row homes. We're looking for something. We're looking for that sign. Can I find the right one? This is the style of building. Let me find the right one. We're looking for that sign. Why can't I thought I had that out there. We're looking for that sign, and we're looking for this sign. Now, this view is August 2022. Roosevelt Mall. We're in the right place. Huge parking lot. Ross. That's one of the names on the, oh, we kind of lost it there, but this is 2011. That building became Ross. See, this is 2011. Yeah, that's what you have to deal with. See, it switched. So now this is November 2019. And we can see Ross on that building. So Macy's is further over. There's Macy's. There's Ross. It's somewhere here. The hole is in the parking lot. Can we narrow it down more? We're looking at old views. So can I get back onto Can I get on the other side of the road? Oh, we just lucked out. This is August 2022. I can't make this view larger. There it is. We just lucked out. What does it say? Affordable Legal Center. Affordable Legal Center. Right there. We see ladders up the brick building, this residential. We see that sign, which we can't find in the old views, so that's a new sign. But a sign that has been there for quite a while is Affordable Legal Center. And we have located virtually the exact spot where the airplane went in. Right there. Right there. Let's see if I can find that one where it's got the Did I lose it? There it is. That's where the plane hit. This is a newer sign, but I'm willing to bet that we're talking about right there. And with the fuel and everything, there's a fire across the street. And there's the Affordable Legal Center. And the new sign actually stands in place of this, or it's right by this. Because this view is 2022. There's Ross, there's Macy's, there's where the jet hit. If it didn't hit exactly there, it hit a place like that. And I have one more thought. Let's see where the map is. Hang on. Now you can tell this is not highly organized. There we go. Let's see if it gets big. It doesn't get bigger. So the airplane took off from the Northeast Philadelphia airport and it happily was headed southwest. It had some kind of catastrophic failure. And it went down. It says approximately, and this one right here, this is Roosevelt Boulevard. This is Cotman Avenue. It went down approximately here. Catastrophic failure. I think the pilot was a hero. I think the pilot was a hero. The pilot, if he had a co-pilot. It's a Learjet, smaller passenger jet, transporting people in medical need. I think the pilot was a hero. Why? A long time ago when I lived in Philadelphia, a neighbor upstairs, the girlfriend of that investigative reporter, I lived on the ground floor. It was a 3-4 residential building. He was a investigative reporter. She was, I think it was, she worked at that time for Trans World Airlines. She flew out of New York. Yes, she lived in Philadelphia. The schedule would be that she would get up after midnight on Monday and she would drive to LaGuardia in New York. And that's where she would get on as a hostess on a TWA flight to somewhere in Europe. And they would fly to Europe. It was a long flight. Then they would get a day or a day and a half off, and then she would take the return flight to New York and then drive back to Philadelphia. So you could call it a short work week, but their time on the airplane was extensive and they're away from home. On a particular day, the guy who was the dwarf came down and he knocked on my door. Steve, could you come upstairs? We need a little support. There was a guy on the second floor that worked downtown at the museum. And Robert came up also. And she's sitting there almost in a corner. She's drinking something and she's looking at the wall. She's still in her uniform. And we sat there and talked for about 20 minutes. And then finally she turned around and pulled her seat up and joined us. And the first thing she said to us, were her neighbors and good friends, known her for quite some time. The first thing she said was, "We almost all died tonight." The jumbo, the 747, no, it was a 707. The 707 was on the descent to land at LaGuardia or whatever it was. It was at the stage where it was in what's called free fall, which means they had cut the engines back, the flaps are down, they're in a controlled free fall to land, hit the runway. She said at altitude 50 feet in free fall, the pilot saw a small private plane on the runway directly in front. They were on a collision course. The pilot and the co-pilot automatically reached down and ripped the throttles all the way back on the 4 engines, which is not the way they usually do it. All the way back, instantly. And the pilot tried to nose up. They missed the private plane and they were level, and then they nosed up and they began to climb. They could have crashed. We almost all died tonight. Pilot, co-pilot reaction saved the airplane, the passengers. Now you think I'm off topic. This is a heavily traveled area, high residential density. The plane went down there. My conjecture is, When they get the black boxes and they hear the recordings, you're going to hear the pilot and co-pilot know that there was no way to recover, and they steered it into the parking lot intentionally. They were heroes at the last moment, doing their job the right way. And I'm thinking about my friend in Philadelphia, the night she said we almost all died, and she described the reactionary heroism and skill of the pilot and co-pilot of that 747. Something like that, I believe, happened, and that's why there's a hole in the parking lot. And not somewhere else. Steve A. before yell, just conjecturing, reminiscing a little bit too, saying see you in 73.